Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Item 3C, request approval of revised job description for deputy director. Michael.
Yes, this is actually just a name change. I think at one point we talked about that it probably should be deputy director, and so that's all I'm asking is change the name.
Okay. I move to approve the revised job description for Eric Gleason's current position at Coos Health and Wellness effective immediately.
I second. Any discussion about the going from a name of assistant director to deputy director?
No, sir.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Request approval of revised job description for deputy DA 2. Paul Fraser, Mr. District Attorney.
Thank you. This is, at the budget committee hearing, was brought up, we may need to revise our deputy DA 2 job description to include felony trial experience.
Mm-hmm.
We got that now, we changed that description, it's been approved by the party and the DAs, so, we're asking to be approved.
Okay.
I move to
motion?
approve the revised job description for the Deputy District Attorney 2 position.
A second. Any discussion about that? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. 3E, request approval of IGA with State of Oregon authorized Captain Fabrizio to sign. Captain.
So I was gonna go down with the finance.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. We had difficulty finding it on the website.
Huh.
Okay, so the state has taken on the onus of paying for Everbridge, which is great.
Mhm.
So really it's just the agreement with all counties around the world to enter into this alert system that they it's actually expanding on Everbridge quite a bit.
Oh.
A lot more capabilities with it, so we're pretty excited about it.
Okay.
Nice.
Very
I
good.
move to approve the IGA with the state and authorize Captain Fabrizio to sign.
A second. Discussion? Everbridge is the notification system in case we have tsunami, flood, fire, all that stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Yep.
It's actually on.
Just for everybody that may be watching.
One of the upgrades I thought was really cool, if there's severe weather notifications, it will automatically send, if there's severe weather notifications,
Yeah.
it will automatically send out for us, anybody who signed up for that.
Okay.
particular, service.
Right.
There's a lot of functions like that.
Yeah, it's a great system.
Yes, sir.
Okay, any other comments about this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty, 3F, request approval of order extending emergency declaration, council.
All right, so in response to the COVID-19 pandemic in Order 2003-049, we declared a state of emergency. The board did pursuant to ORS Chapter 401. The current order is set to expire May 11th, 2021, unless extended. The proposed order 2104-024L would extend it for another 60 days to July 10th, 2021. It's worth noting that this emergency declaration does not impose any restrictions on the public. It's unrelated to the state restrictions that are in place. It's something that, from what I see on my side, it's something that, gives the county the flexibility to do what it needs to do, make the purchases it needs to make in response to the pandemic. And I understand the state has extended theirs as well.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I move to approve and sign order number 21-04-024L, extending order 20-03-049 until July 10th, 2021.
Okay, second. Questions? So, it referenced chapter 401 of the ORS. It's 401.165, I believe. The governor has the option to declare an emergency as well as the counties. So, when the governor declares, and this has really nothing to do with that 401.165, as I understand it.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm understanding your question correctly, it's whether we do this or not doesn't have an impact at this point on whether the state is going to still have a state of emergency or have any of the restrictions that they currently have. And the answer is that this
That's
doesn't impact that.
Yeah, that's statewide.
Correct.
Right.
Now, there is an option, let's say we have a fire or something, flood or whatever, we can ask the governor's office for declaration of emergency, which may be granted by the governor, et cetera.
Yeah, there's two
Or a
ways.
city may ask us for a declaration of emergency, let's say, like in Jackson County, when 1,200 homes burned up in Talent, let's say, they could ask for an emergency. But this really is not pertinent to that.
Correct. There's different ways that a declaration of emergency can take place at the state level, and the statute talks about it happening either at the request of counties or on the governor's own action based
Right.
on a determination.
Yeah, okay. And this whole C-19 is of the governor's action. We don't get a part in that part. Okay, any other comments about this?
Nope.
Very funny. Does anybody want to amend their motion to July 4th?
No, we can't extend it that long.
Oh, we can't? Well, we're extended July 10th,
Well, you're right, we could extend it.
as the sheriff suggested, tongue-in-cheek.
I don't wanna make Nat rewrite it, no. I mean, no,
Okay,
I'm good.
all in favor of the current motion?
Aye.
Aye.
I was thinking it was
Uh,
June 10th.
Would entertain a motion for consent calendar?
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay. All in favor of that? Aye, yes?
Aye.
All right. All righty. Late agenda items. We have a late?
I have a late agenda item, late to add a approval, or an acceptance of a grant,
Oh, okay. What's the grant?
from Travel Oregon for $100,000
To do 100,000 to do what?
to build the Whiskey Run, finish building the Whiskey Run mountain biking trails.
Oh, so we're gonna have an extension of more trails.
Yes, you have to let me add it, and then we can talk about it.
Oh, darn. Go ahead.
All right, so I move to add a late agenda item regarding a $100,000 grant from Travel
I
Oregon.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now.
So we received a $100,000 grant from Travel Oregon as part of their 2021 Competitive and Recovery Grants Program. As part of that, we have a $50,000 match from Wild Rivers Coast Alliance and a $50,000 match from Travel Southern Oregon Coast. And that will allow us to build the last 7 miles of mountain biking trail for Whiskey Run, which will bring the total to 30 miles.
Whoa.
And that will be done this season. So,
That is amazing.
yeah, I'm really thrilled with the, with the investment that's been made in the county.
Okay.
So with that, I move, did you have time to review the grant agreement?
Yes, I did. And
Are you okay?
it's
Standard.
substantially the same as the last one. so.
Okay. All right. I move to accept the $100,000 grant from Travel Oregon and authorize the chair to sign.
A second. Any other discussion?
No, sir.
Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Except I think it's really exciting. There, that's it.
I was gonna have another late, but I think I'll put it off
Oh,
a
okay,
little bit longer,
okay.
till next meeting. That way we'll have finalized our budget. We're gonna have a budget meeting on the 12th, right here at 8:30.
Yeah,
So by then, we should have everything firmed up.
okay.
I was gonna add the late of putting back a deputy DA in the district attorney's office, but give them a little more time to advertise, but I think it'll be okay for another 2 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. Commission reports.
I am happy to go. I have a PUC meeting this morning that I need to testify at. and I'm gonna get a text message when it's almost time, but I think we're way ahead of schedule. And so I'm just testifying for Energy Trust, because
Mhm.
I'm their board president. It's time for them to give their results to the Public Utility Commission. I spent some time talking to the Curry County Commissioners yesterday. They are giving the mental health function back to the state. And we have been a little concerned about how that might cause a drain on Coos County mental health resources or behavioral health resources. And so David Gills from Coos Health and Wellness is going to be involved in some conversations with them about, what they could potentially do as opposed to definitely giving it back to the state. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that we are engaged in trying to assist them if we can, regardless of what their decision is.
Mhm.
Because we're such a close community between Coos and Curry that we don't want to overwhelm our mental health resources with people coming from outside the county seeking services. Let me see, I have a note here that Sunday was Bob's birthday, and
Uh-oh.
so he didn't bring us cake or anything like that.
I'm trying to go backwards now.
He didn't bring us any gifts, nothing like that, but it was his birthday on Sunday, so happy birthday, Bob.
Thank you. I'm trying to forget birthdays from now on.
He was 31.
Yeah.
It was a big day.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Same as you.
I've been talking to the water master. Things on the east side of the county are pretty dry, and so
Mhm.
we're, keeping an eye on the water conditions report that comes from the state. We may be looking at a potential drought declaration later on this month or perhaps next month. I know,
We've already had a couple fires here.
we have had a couple fires, and
Klamath, I
things are,
understand from one of the commissioners there, they've had multiple fires already.
yeah, and Douglas County put in a drought declaration, I think 2 weeks ago, and that's the section of the county that we're really talking about, looking at, it's dry, and if we do that, that opens up, some possibilities for water rights holders that they don't have if we don't do a drought declaration. So that's something that we're keeping an eye on. Senator Merkley had a local officials roundtable and town hall that Bob and I both attended. I don't think John was there. He's still busy doing the Ford Foundation.
Yeah, he
interviews.
was giving out scholarships.
Yeah. Testified on some bills, including reauthorization of the animal damage district, which we're trying to get reauthorized, and also regarding the ports bill to forgive their back taxes for some back taxes that they didn't properly file. Let me see, what else do I have? I also attended, I went down to 999 Front Street. It's kind of interesting to see what Coos Bay has been doing with their Front Street revitalization and how much private investment's gone into down there. There was a pottery sale over the weekend and an open house at Josie's Art Lab. And I went down there and checked it out at 999 Front Street, which is the old floral building.
Mhm.
And actually, it looks really neat. It was nice to see those changes coming down there.
Good.
There, that's what I have. Go ahead.
Is it?
Yeah.
Attended a Red Cross meeting on the phone with the regional director of Red Cross, talking about being ready for any kind of disaster we might have, fire, flood, etc. Lasted about half an hour or so. Went in depth about being ready and emergency management and etc. We had a discussion on the phone with Representative Fazio's aide and our lobbyist in Washington D.C. about some funding that we received, the one for Libby Lane, several $1 million
on the list anyway.
upgrade for repaving, et cetera. And there may be some other funds for project we're involved in. Had a webinar with Senator Merkley, which you were on, and I talked about Coal River's Hatchery. Coal River's Hatchery is a hatchery I mentioned last board meeting a bit, That is on the Rogue River at Lost Creek Dam, which is way upriver from basically Grants Pass, Medford. They are supposed to they raise most of the salmonids, et cetera, for the coast, at least the southern half of the coast of Oregon. They have been a bit lax, like 95% lax. They're only raising about 5% of what they should have been. One of the reasons, though, is their lack of a adequate potable water supply. They have a huge algae bloom in Lost Lake, and it affects the fish when they're trying to raise them. So, talking to Senator Merkley about having a pipeline installed above the reservoir where fresh water comes in from the upper Rogue River to supply the hatchery so they can go into full production again. Right now, they're considering the spring Chinook on the road to be threatened or endangered. There's so few of them. Right now, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that there will be no salmon season whatsoever on the Coquille River this fall. And possibly there will be no salmon season at all on the Coquille River this fall. None. I mean, last year it was below the 101 bridge to the ocean. They're going to even close that portion because of so few fish coming back. They're also talking about closing entirely the Siuslaw there at Florence and the Silettes up by Lincoln City because of so few fish. I didn't even go steelhead fishing this last steelhead season because there weren't any fish. I mean, there was very few caught. There's lots of reasons for that. Lack of raising fish, predation, etc. So we'll see how that goes with trying to get some funding for some decent water for the hatchery. And that hatchery is the second largest hatchery in all of the United States. We also talked about the algae problems up and down the coast, especially at 10 Mile Lake, which is toxic to your pets, etc. You shouldn't be drinking it. We're going to try and have a system funded where it's an experiment where they inject oxygen at the bottom of the lake through piping system called bubblers, and that would hopefully eliminate the algae problem. And if that experiment works, then expand it to the rest of the lakes, North and South Lake, 10 Mile. I think that's the major parts. And with that, anything else?
Yeah, I think it's worth mentioning that Coos County is going to moderate on Friday.
Yeah.
Because our COVID numbers are down. And I forgot to mention that all three of us signed on to the letter that Association of Oregon Counties sent jointly with the Oregon Restaurant and Lodgers Association last week, asking the governor to please reconsider her restrictions on bars and restaurants because that's not where we see the spread occurring. We did get a letter back from the governor saying she was going to continue the path that she was on. And
I might mention there were 79 commissioners signed on to that letter, including all three of us.
which is crazy because that happened in less
79
than
commissioners signed on.
like 12 hours,
And there's
79
only,
commissioners signed
what,
on.
104 or 5 commissioners in the whole state?
115, I think.
115,
Yeah.
maybe? We don't know. Anyway, a little over 100.
Yeah.
But 79 of us signed on to that letter, and it was, well, the governor decided to do the same path she was on, so.
Yeah.
But there is, I hope that would be an indication to the governor, there's substantial unrest out there about this whole shutdown thing.
That letter represents the first time that the restaurant and lodgers and the counties have ever sent a joint letter on a topic. And I think it just shows
Baker City did a
our level of
proclamation about
concern.
basically the same thing.
That's all I have.
That
Thank
it?
you.
Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you all. No, I think I had 20 minutes one time.
I think we did.
Roughly 19 or 20 minutes. So we're gonna go back into executive session with Captain Fabrizio.